Well, I knew they'd catch up with me. I've ended up in the sheriff's office. So far, I haven't been arrested since I moved to North Carolina, but I can't think of a nicer person to stop me on the road and say, I want your driver's license and blah, blah, than Sheriff Donald Hill. And this is always a busy time of well, every day's busy for you, I'm sure. But so if we get an emergency call while we're talking, why, we'll just take our recorder and go along and find out what his job is. Thank you very much for having us, Sheriff Hill.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. Are you a native Carolinian?
I was born in Columbus. I was born in Columbus, lived here my whole life.
You've lived here, well, you're an unusual guest because most of the people I've been talking to are imports, but I feel right at home because I'm from Ohio, and our Columbus was our state capital there.
Yeah, I was actually was born at the old hospital in Tryon when it was a hospital.
The old hospital up on the hill?
Carolina Drive.
I sure hope they save that. That's the most gorgeous building.
We'll see. I don't know what they're going to do.
Well, since you were born there, don't you have any influence here as sheriff? You know, threaten to arrest anyone that says no. But anyway, well, we'll talk that with someone else about the destruction of some of the old buildings, which I'm glad to see they are preserving so much here in the Carolinas. You know, since this is a county seat, I remember when I moved here about 4.5 years ago, they were restoring or renovating the county building here, whatever.
Courthouse. The courthouse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Sheriff Hill, you've been sheriff here how long?
So over 6 years.
Well, and you're a native. Did you ever think when you were growing up and going to high school here that you would be sheriff one day?
No. No, in all honesty, I went to school for fish and wildlife management.
Oh, well, how'd you get sidetracked into this office?
I went to work for Sheriff Carswell around in 1990 and come out of college, and I needed a job, and he pretty much said, he asked me if I wanted a job. I said, yeah, I need some work. He said, well, I was 20. I started when I was 20. I couldn't carry a gun because I was 20 years old, so he couldn't put me as a deputy because I couldn't carry a gun. So he put me in jail, and I started out.
He put you in jail?
I started out as a third shift jailer.
Oh, I thought you meant he put you in jail. Okay.
So I started third shift, working the jail on third shift for 4 months, and my birthday came around, and as soon as my birthday came around, he called me up, had to go meet with him. He offered me a job as a deputy when I turned 21.
So you've been in the sheriff's office since then?
Yes, ma'am, since I was 20 years old.
I think a person has to be really dedicated to be in this profession, especially in this day and age when so much is going on. We'll get into some of your main problems maybe because you've seen a lot taken place since you've been affiliated with law enforcement, right?
It's changed.
Yeah.
It's changed a lot.
What's a big change? Can you put that into words?
Just a lot of it has to do with the type of crimes that we're seeing now. The drugs are a lot more of a problem now. Drugs. People are meaner. I'll be honest with you. People are just getting meaner than what they used to be.
Well, I think the world over. It's not just here. It's the world over. We have so much hatred, and why? I wonder.
Society's changing. Now, I don't know the answer to that, but society's changing. Yeah. It's a whole new era or something. I don't know.
Well, I have my theories about it, which I'm not going to inflict on people right now. But our communication, even we're not, we're too close. We know too much about each other. It seems like with the type of communication we have. But we'll save that for another time, Sheriff. Right now, I'm sure you have more important things to discuss than that. Back. Again, to the duty. And one thing you mentioned, jail. Where do you incarcerate people here?
Well, the jail is in the back of the sheriff's office here. It's all one building.
Oh, well, a lot of places it's in the courthouse, isn't
it? Some places are. A lot of places now have are building what they call justice centers. Henderson County, Haywood County, a lot of places are building what they call a justice center. And they combine courtroom, sheriff's office, jail all into one facility. But right now here it's sort of all separated. So
how many cells do you have?
We hold approximately 32.
30 in this building?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
30 beds.
Is it ever full?
Yeah. I've had it on the floor. I've had several on the floor. We've had people housed out of the county. I've been maxed out before. So it just depends on what all's going on.
Is it possible to put into words what your biggest problems are with your law enforcement?
Right, a lot of it right now is drugs are a big problem. Drugs are a major problem right now that we do.
Marijuana has been legalized in some places. Is there a lot of marijuana usage and growing here?
It's around, yeah.
I think I hear you have a helicopter, don't you?
Well, the National Guard comes in and flies and helps us do eradication days.
Okay. How can you tell a marijuana field from the air?
It is actually, if you look at it from the air, it actually is a bluish green tint.
Do you ever fly with them?
I actually flew back when Sheriff Satterfield was sheriff here in the county. I was a spotter for the sheriff's office back, and that was around early 2000s, 2002, 2003, if I remember correctly. But you had to go fly, and they'd fly you, and you had to pick out plants they had hidden on the ground. And if you look real close, but you have to look close, and it gives off a bluish green tint. You have to look real close.
And there's no way that if I'm growing a bunch of pot, as they call it, I guess, there's no way they can put something over the top to hide it, or
they can.
They can. Uh-huh.
Yeah, a lot of we have found some where they've put mesh and screen meshing over it, the camo meshing. So it can be done.
You could probably spot the difference in that and the natural growth.
If you look close.
Yeah.
You just have to look close.
Yeah. But you have to, when the copter comes in, they fly within your bounds. How do you know the limits from this county and another county?
Far as where they fly, they have to fly everywhere the same. They all have a height level they have to stay at. So.
Yeah. How about the distilled liquid moonshiners?
Yeah, we got some of those too.
Well, the thing I don't understand, I have a date with Josh, whatever his name is, the moonshiner star on the...
Josh Owen.
Yeah, Josh. I have a date coming up with him, and I said, I've never interviewed a moonshiner before. Here I am interviewing the sheriff, talking about moonshining, but this is something I've wondered about. It's illegal, and yet they're filming and showing all this. Do you have much illegal... Is there such a thing as legal moonshine?
You can buy moonshine
But I mean, can you get a license to make it?
No.
Okay.
No. It's I think a lot of it is you see a lot of it on television and stuff, and you go back, it's a heritage. In the South and in the Western Appalachia, it's something that's in heritage. It's a heritage. And it's always going to be there, and so my thing about it is it's against the law. I have to enforce the laws. That's my responsibility. I took an oath to do my job, but it's always going to be there, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of it in houses in Polk County sitting on a shelf somewhere, a mason jar of it. But I've heard my grandfather talking about it. My
grandfather too in Kentucky.
Oh yeah, that was so.
But they made it just like a lot of people make wine now, and they can make wine. You can make your own wine. That is legal.
Yeah, if they go through the ABC permits and all.
Well, if I was going to make wine at home just out of some grapes that I'm growing, I would have to get a permit?
That you have to go through ABC permit.
Even if I used it just for myself?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're going to get me coming or going here, aren't you?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Okay. What do you, I don't mean pleasure, but what satisfaction, what's the most satisfaction you get out of this job? Because you must love it. You've been in it all your career. And what is it about it that makes you want to stay here?
It's not a power thing. A lot of people think, I'm the sheriff, and it's a power trip to be the the most powerful law enforcement officer in the whole county, but it's not. I enjoy the people, and I enjoy working around people and the stuff we do, because we do a lot of different stuff. We do the toy rides for the kids, toy drive for the kids in Polk County. We do stuff, and that's a lot of the stuff that you enjoy doing.
Well, I see constantly. Of course, this being on the website for the Daily Bulletin, I have always read that paper since I moved here. I read the obituaries to see if my name's there mostly, but I read it cover to cover, and I'm always seeing the sheriff's office involved in all these things. Do you, from what I see, you do a lot with the school children, because I think that's where a lot of thoughts of crime maybe start. They don't start in the school as a result of school, but that's where you can start your training, I suppose, as to obeying the law.
Yeah, I think it's very important to get to young people and children early. We're actually getting ready to start. We're actually going to do a RAD program here in the county. It's self-defense for females, and I just had 2 officers come back from training on it now, and we're going to start it, I think, at the high school for girls, senior girls going into college. And basically what it is, it's sexual assault prevention and self-defense. And just because of the rate of sexual assaults in college, and these girls are coming out of high school going into college, so we're going to try to run this through the schools and give them some training, self-defense training. And I think the most important thing is with young people now, you have to get to them early. People don't. A lot of these kids, and we see it every day, they don't have nobody at home.
That's where it starts, I think.
The biggest problem, and in my opinion, the biggest problem in society right now is the home. The American family is going down the drain. Maybe
you ought to start training the parents.
I agree. That's a good point. I think you do, and I think that's, it's bad. But when you see single household, and single mothers and fathers leaving, and you realize I can see them come into jail, and I would I don't know the stats, but it would be interesting to see from a jail here what the percentage of young people who are incarcerated in my jail if they came from a single parent home.
You might start keeping statistics.
It's interesting. No, I may do that. I'm just curious, and I think I would prove a point where.
What's for incarceration? If they have to be 18 before you put them in jail here?
16.
16. Oh. And if they're under that, where do you put them?
They go to juvenile detention, juvenile places for juvenile offenders. Uh-huh. Usually it used to be up in Swannanoa, up near Asheville. The max here is 16. You can house someone at 16 years of age in the county jail. The only problem is they have to be separated from the 18 and older adult population. Is how it's got to be done.
Yeah. Well, I found the young people that I have met here and been out to high school, and I find they seem to have a pretty good record here as far as staying out of mischief. There's always going to be mischief and so forth, and mischief is expected from teens, but not the things where you have to have the sheriff haul you in. But I think instead of putting the children in detention, you should put the parents.
Yeah, I think, and it really does. A lot of it is the parents. Yeah. I can tell you.
You could write a book.
I could write a book, yeah. and it's bad, and and I think that's a lot of where you're going to have to get to the young people. I think that's why we try to do a lot in the schools for young people. We were talking about SROs and trying to get SROs back in the schools here, SRO officers. And it's pretty much for kids to have someone to go to, because the parents, what parents half the time they're not there, or they don't care.
Well, a lot of the single mothers have to work if the husband deserts them, or if they don't have a husband. There's so much of that now. I think we ought to have more. What do I want to say? I won't go into that. That's going to get deep. But you know what I'm talking about. But now it's accepted. And I've understood in some of the larger cities, they have clubs where the girls cannot belong unless they're no longer a virgin.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one.
Oh, well, I lived in Cincinnati for several years, and I heard a lot of stories there. But we have a nice environment here for young people, and I think the community should be proud. They rate high in their classes in the grading, and I know you like to keep your senses way down when it comes to 15 and 16-year-olds being caught up.
Yeah, it's a good county. This county, they're blessed. We're blessed with what we have here in Polk County. And I tell people all the time, there's not many places that you can go out at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and go walking, Harmon Field or Green Creek, at the Green Creek Center, and really be safe and not have to worry about something happening like you hear going all around us with shootings and stabbings. And you live in a pretty safe community.
I think they feel safe because they have a good sheriff. And staff, because you, like most heads of companies or organizations or whatever, I think that your staff reflects on the top guy, and apparently things are working out well for you here.
We do good, and then you have different police departments. You have Tryon Police Department, Saluda and Columbus, and they're pretty active as far as in the city, so that helps. But in all, somebody was telling me the other day, I was into it about the checkpoint stuff. Someone was on me about the check. Well, I had a phone call from a guy in Virginia that called me who was actually moving to Tryon, and he read it up in Virginia. And he called me up, and he says, we're going to be moving there in a year because we're retiring. He says, why we moving to Virginia? I said, no. He said, because we've done our research. He said, in Polk County, has the lowest violent crime rate in the whole state of North Carolina. And he said Polk County's second lowest in the state for property crimes. He said, now, if what you guys are doing down there is keeping that down, then they ought to be rewarding you for that, not bashing you. And I said, yeah, that's the way I look at it, because we're proactive, and it's no good to react once something's out of control.
That's not the time to
It's not the time to try to get it back under control.
Right.
The fact of the matter is, if you know it's there, you might as well be proactive and go after it. And that's what we do. And
well, you know what, Sheriff? You know yourself, you've been in the public eye long enough to know if you don't do anything, you'll never be criticized. But if you do anything, I don't care how good it is, you're going to be criticized. And I think it's a compliment for someone like that. And I've heard that too. And I've also heard about the checkpoint thing. Are you still doing these checkpoints? I haven't been stopped yet, and I drive very carefully. Yeah,
actually, be honest with you, I just got a $10,000 grant for overtime drug enforcement. So yeah, there'll be more checkpoints because I got a grant money to pay for it.
Well, and we're getting money in the county, and you're circulating it and paying. How many on your staff? That's one thing. Before we close, I want to find out how many do you have under your I don't want to say command, but under your jurisdiction.
Yeah, I've got 12 deputies, 4 detectives, 1 animal control officer, 1 bailiff, 1 civil process officer, 1 front desk sergeant, 2 civilian employees, and then I've got 8 in the jail, detention officers in the jail.
So you've got a lot of people working for you that are making your job work.
Exactly. Yeah.
Did I put that right?
It's hard, it's all those people.
And you don't sit here in this nice office of yours, and you don't have a great big luxurious office. I mean, you've got a working office here. Everything. As I say, I've never been in a sheriff's office quite like this before, and it looks efficient. And everyone I've talked to here has been so kind, so courteous, and that I think reflects again on you.
I try to stay out of the office. I don't like being in the office. I want to be out doing and going, because I don't know how. I try to figure out how this works with sheriff, and because a lot of people would tell me, say, "Well, I come by the office and you ain't ever there," or if I stay here, I'll go out in the community somewhere at a restaurant. Somebody said, "Well, you ain't been by in a month," so I'm trying to figure out how do you win between the two. So I don't like being here. I figured the only way to do it is be out there in the public. If I'm out there in the public, I'm meeting people, I'm in businesses and stuff, one-on-one people, then I hear what they like and what they don't like.
Right. And you have to get criticism, and you have to find out the things that people don't like as well as the things that they do like. We can do another program on some of these things, and if you'll get in your office one day again. I mean, I caught you this time. You were out of the office when I first called, but then thank you for calling back. I mean, that was nice of you. A lot of people don't think it's important enough to call back when I want to talk to them, but I really appreciate it. And maybe we can do this again and make little notes from time to time on something you would like the public to know that maybe doesn't always make the news. How about that?
We can do that. You're more welcome anytime. Yeah, and we can go. We can go back and talk family. We talk about my grandfather was sheriff here back in the 1950s.
Oh, well, I'll get more of your background because I love to get the history of people who have lived here all their lives. So, well, that's another program.
Yeah,
okay.
We can talk, yeah. I've got, if you ever want to talk, because they called him Paddlefoot Hines because he had big feet. Because I'm kin of the Hineses and all. My Aunt Claire used to own Oak Hall Hotel in Tryon.
Oh, well, we've got a whole program just on your background.
That's where I stayed when I was a little boy. I lived over there with Aunt Clara. So I go back to a lot of my relatives and stuff. It used to be, and this place has changed, ever since then.
Well, we'll talk about the changes, good and bad. And great. Then I'll put you down for another call back here. And I don't want to take any more of your time today. Hope that nothing big happens. But if it does, I know you're going to be right there with all your guys and gals.
If it does, you load up and we'll go.
Good deal. One question. How many women do you have on your force?
I've got one detective, 2 civilians, female civilians, and I've got 4 in the jail, 4 female jailers. Good. We like to see that the female sex is getting into this too, because I think we're just as capable as you men when it comes to law enforcement. I don't know. That's all I know. But anyway. I got 1 or 2 females that probably could whip half the men in this place.
Oh, good for them. Okay. Well, hey, Sheriff Donald Hill, I want to thank you very much for giving us your time today, and we will be back for some more of this interesting background on Sheriff Hill's background, because that sounds real interesting and historical. So thank you so much, and thank you for being with us. Let us hear from you, and stay tuned, because you never know who's going to pop up as a voice of the foothills. And all of you, have a great day.